time in Underground Scholars. Were you all involved in any other programs, clubs, orgs? And as well, El Camino students, tell us about your time with FIRST. I know we recently launched, but if you all can speak about your experiences in higher ed, that would be great.
So wait, that was directed at us?
Yes, at
okay,
at you all and at El Camino students.
Okay. I know. I feel like that's a kind of like I was in higher ed for like 6 years, but I don't know. I feel like I could just say one of the things I remember when I first came to Berkeley is that I didn't think that there was a group of formerly incarcerated students that existed there. So that was already like a major shocking thing to me. Because when I got to Berkeley, it was like fucking, man, like it was, I mean, I'm from Berkeley, right? So, but when I got to the institution, it was like it was shocking because it was like, damn, like you start seeing nothing but whites and a lot of like API folks around, and it's not that many Black people. So for me, it was a bit isolating in a sense. And then I felt like, I don't know, it felt kind of weird, right? Because I used to wear my name tag and all that shit, right? But I used to wear my name tag because I'm like, nah, if the police pull up, they ain't about to, I'm official, like I'm here, man. I'm a student. I done got pulled over by the police, had to whip my student ID out before I give my real ID, just because it is like a privilege, right? But the fact that I had to do that, says a lot. But I was just, I think when I really got like connected with Underground Scholars Initiative, like it really kind of gave me a community, right? People who shared similar experiences. We got the same humor. We could actually kind of, be more authentic with each other when we're in a space versus in a classroom. You feel kind of like tense and like, you don't really feel like, you can really be yourself because you just gotta abide by so much white supremacy, right? So I feel like when I got to Berkeley, long story short, when I got to Berkeley, like the Underground Scholars, like really kind of gave me a community to be a part of, and that was really helpful in terms of, performing in the classroom and so on and so forth.
Thank you, Clarence, for sharing. I just wanted to piggyback off that. Like, I've even told Ricky this and my other boss from the CARE program. Well, when I first started El Camino College, like I felt like that imposter syndrome, right? I felt like I didn't belong. Like, here I am, a single parent, overcoming not just incarceration, but domestic violence. And, I'm sitting around all these 18-year-olds, then they're telling me where they want to transfer to. And I'm just trying to get by the day, then go pick up my kid and, study. It was intimidating for me, and I didn't know if I wanted to transfer. I just wanted to provide something better for my daughter, right? I wanted to change the cycle for my family. And I found that through the CARE program, believe it or not. And I remember just applying I was so scared to apply because I had felonies on my record. And I got a student worker position, and I just realized school was my safety net. Once I made these partnerships with people, it became my safety net, the CARE program. And when I transferred to Cal State Long Beach a year ago, now working with Ricky with FIRST, I now am with Project Rebound at Cal State Long Beach, So getting involved with programs and really talking to teachers and being open about my past, it made me feel more comfortable, and it let me know that I do belong here and I am capable of completing things. And I couldn't have done it without the CARE program FIRST, and I do it for my daughter.
Yeah, I just want to check in real quick. I really appreciate what the other two speakers already said about finding community. I was part of the group that came together, and when we founded Underground Scholars, I had already, as a community college student, taken part of the Project Rebound classes at San Francisco State. So I was already a Project Rebound student, so I kind of brought that experience, and I think they were really pivotal. Like, they are the pioneers. We stand on the shoulders of giants, and they gave us our Constitution, right? So they were a huge part. I always like to shout that out because that's really important. But, there was no Underground Scholars when I was an undergrad. And it was a fundamentally different experience. And I think, I was part of the student parent community, and that was helpful as a student parent. And I was part of the Rasa community. I'm gonna take a shot because I like to keep it 100, right? But I found that it was a lot of like upper middle class and wealthy. I was like, oh, these are like the bougie Latinx, you know what I mean? And so when I got with the community, with my community of formerly incarcerated people, I found that we had similar class interests, and like I had more in common. You know what I'm saying? So it's not all people of color are radicalized and are coming from, you know what I mean? I just like to shoot that out there, you know what I mean? Because it really was helpful in my experience. Yeah.
I kind of like want to piggyback off David also about the skin, because you my skin folk don't mean you my kin folk. Because I know when I first got to Berkeley, I had the imposter syndrome too. And I remember I came from Merritt College. Merritt College is, the home of the Panthers and everybody get along. And I was part of the BSU there. But when I got to Berkeley, I thought it was going to be like power to the people. And I could find all my Black people and I was going to get involved, And when I went to like First Wednesday, it's called Black Wednesdays at Berkeley, where all the Black people come hang together, by the Golden Bear or whatever. I did not feel accepted. I did not feel like a part of. And that's when I quickly recognized socioeconomic classes and the differences in people. Although we're the same, it's just not the same sometimes. It's Black people who promoted the 3 strikes you're out. It's the Black caucus that helped with the strike, the crime bill in 1991. So skin folk don't mean kin folk.
Yeah, I guess for me, I had the privilege of coming in already knowing the underground scholars. So it was a little easier for me because I was like, all I have to do is get in, right? If I get in, which was hard because Berkeley and UCLA they're the last schools to tell you. So I had already got into UC Santa Barbara and UC Irvine, and UCLA and Berkeley were like, nah, you got to wait till like almost the last day. So they get your nerves up there, So I really wanted to get into Berkeley. That was my only one school, which I ultimately did end up getting into. But my experience was very more streamlined because I was like, I'm gonna go here. I already have folks and community there. So I just tapped in. And I think that eased my process into actually being able to go to school and not have to create a community at the same time. I think that would have took a bigger toll on me. And there was multiple times where, because the organization, I was gonna drop out like my first year in, my first semester. My brother almost at the end of my semester, like when we were doing finals, my brother got sentenced to 20 years in prison, and I was like the one navigating his lawyers, translating for my mom, going to his courts. So that took a huge toll on me, and I was just gonna drop out. I was like, man, like I need to go do something, like make money, or what I'm saying, figure something out for my brother. But it was my community that, nobody in the classroom will understand that or the struggle. But, other folks in USI have, parents doing life, brothers doing life, with multiple decades, which, shouldn't exist. But it gave me a sense of community where they're like, yo, like, we know what you're going through. Like, if you need somebody to talk to, like, genuinely, what I'm saying? Not just like, I don't know what you're talking, like, I don't know your experience, but I might be able to help you. They're like, yo, like, my dad's doing life or my brother's doing life. So, what I'm saying? If you need someone to talk to, which made me feel more welcome and was the only thing that kept me going at the end. Cause I was like, at that point I was done with school. I was like, yo, like what is 4 years here gonna do for me trying to help out my brother or, try to help out my mom in our situation. So yeah, when you have community, it does mean a lot. It makes a big difference, especially in when you're still gonna have difficulties throughout, what I'm saying, your hopefully not your whole life, but throughout life, what I'm saying, it's gonna continue. So just because I was at Berkeley didn't mean that everything that comes from being where I come from all of a sudden disappeared, right? So my homies were still getting shot, they're still getting stabbed, they're still getting locked up. My brother got sentenced to 20 years. So what happens in my communities doesn't just go away just because I was at UC Berkeley, right? So it does help to have people in community know and understand these things, that just because I'm here, and yes, it is a safety net and it might be a safe haven for me at the moment, like my community and where I come from, that's shit still the same thing that was going, what I'm saying, that got me locked up in the first place still exists. And we all understand that. And for the most part, a lot of us are trying to change that, what I'm saying? So that was very empowering for me. And I was grateful to have, what I'm saying, that community within the Underground Scholars Initiative. And yeah, that was like very instrumental for me.
So for me, I first I came to El Camino first at the Compton campus when it was. I was on parole, um, fresh out, doing 4 years. Um, Before that, I had done a little time. I had 2 violent strikes by the age of 23. I also was a parent to 3 kids at the time. Um, First of all, I just want to say that that documentary touched a whole bunch of it's like I'm excited. These are like tears of joy. I'm very proud of everybody here. Everybody, everybody has different stories, different backgrounds, a lot of similarities. Um, I didn't have any support, like most people. I knew that I was gifted as far as like school and stuff, and just doing things um, that I wanted to do that I saw myself doing. Um, and I did that. It started in elementary school. I had my short story picked out of my grade, which was in third grade. It started there, and ever since then, it was picked out and published in a short story book along with other stories picked out from each grade. So since then, it just kind of like, it planted a seed of like greatness, for me. So um, school has always been like my outlet, so to speak, even though it was like tough to, finally get in it. But it started with an orientation through parole. My parole officer was like, you got to do something. So I'm like, I already knew, school was my thing. I started going to Palo Verde college when I was locked up, and then just continued as I got out, because I knew like I needed to do something. I knew that you're not going to get nowhere. You're not going to get far without an education. Um, I, along with everything that, I'm sorry. No, somebody just said I was kicked out of third grade. No, I wasn't kicked out of third grade. I didn't start that young. um, but no, I got a short story published, my short story published when I was in third grade. No, you're good. Uh, and that's where, my little taste of success started. So long story short, along with everybody else, like I can definitely relate to feeling out of place, being fresh out, and you're in class and um, you're hearing other like students comment on areas or topics about, people or felons being able to vote, or and you could tell like they don't know what they're talking about, and you almost want to like check them because like you still have that conditioning, that you went through being locked up, and for males and females, so that was like tough to break because I was like, like clearly that person doesn't know what he's talking about, but you had to like check yourself, and also I know what it is to like my first degree that I received. I got an AS in business administration at El Camino. I remember walking into my accounting class, and I got a phone call that I had been waiting for a long time. When I was incarcerated, I lost a lot of people, but I also lost my daughter. She was um, she was 7 years old. Special needs. I lost her on December Christmas Eve, and she was murdered while I was incarcerated. And I remember just getting that phone call the first day, literally right before walking into class. And ever since like that whole semester, like I had a mental blockage just going to that class, you know, and I failed it, but I came back because that's what I do. That's what we do. You know, we're fighters. We're all strong. We're all living for something, right? We all got our stories, people that we hold in our hearts and our memories at the forefront of our minds to just kind of keep us going, keep us pushing. And meeting Isabel in the EOPS and care program, she was actually the only one that was like, because I was, you know, very quiet, very reserved, not going to talk about my business. You know, I'm in Torrance, you know, California. And so it was different. It was very different for me, very uncomfortable at first. But she was actually the one that, you know, shared that, you know, and decided to open up about, you know, being a student and having like a past, you know, a criminal past and stuff. And I kind of just kept it short, you know, and then years later we like, you know, we linked up again and here we are. And now I'm working with the FIRST program. Um, you know, my kind of people, I'm very, very, very comfortable, very raw, very straightforward and comfortable with it. Feel very accepted. And this is what I love seeing and hearing all this. And I'm so happy that we got all these voices that, you know, just came from different parts with different similar backgrounds, similar ways and stuff. So it's like I just feel so empowered. Like the energy is crazy. And I'm just so grateful to be here, to meet all you guys. And I just can't wait to hear more and do more. Thank you.
Thank you, Jasmine. Thank you for sharing. And just hearing Jasmine's experience, you know, it really just takes one person on campus, one person in our school trajectory to really change the way we see school and see how we have a space in higher ed, even if it doesn't, even if it wasn't made for us, right? So my follow-up question would be, I know some of us already are professionals. So what inspired you all to pursue higher ed, or who inspired you all in your professions? If we can circle back to former Berkeley students, and then we'll go back to El Camino students. So the question was, what inspired you all to go to school and your profession?
I guess I could start, and I'm gonna problematize everything like David. But for the most part, what I noticed, the majority of us that are in four-year institutions is that we at some point were all told we were good at school. I was in the GATE program in 5th grade. You know, Jasmine got her short story picked, and a lot of us have that, right? That it's more of we would have all excelled in school had we not had the communal barriers that exist in our communities, right? So it's not that we're these extravagant, well, we are extravagant people, right? Like as our own, but it's more that we would have excelled way more easily had these barriers not existed, right? And I say that also to say that school is not for everybody, right? My brother hates school. All my homies got pushed out of school, and they're not going to come back because the way school treated them, you know what I'm saying? Which is perfectly understandable. So I also, in the beginning, in my starting days, I was like, yo, everybody come to community college. They're giving out 6Gs, you know what I'm saying? Like, yo, it's cool. And they're like, yeah, motherfucker, you were good at it. You were always good at it. Like, yeah, like, I don't want to go somewhere where I'm told I suck, right? They were in the special ed classes, they're in remedial classes. Like, they're like, fuck that. I'm not gonna go, you know what I'm saying, go be dumb again. So, you know what I'm saying? That's what I like to problematize, that school still isn't for everybody, and that's perfectly fine, right? That there should still be the same wages for folks that want regular jobs, you know what I'm saying? Not that I make a lot of money, I get paid 48K, but still, right? Like, folks should be able to, you know what I'm saying, make livable wages without having college degrees, because college isn't for everybody. Education isn't for everybody. Like, yes, my intelligence was academic intelligence, right? But my brother has physical intelligence, right? Other folks have creativity or artistic intelligence. And what about them, right? Like, we don't all have to go to school. But yeah, that's my little problematization right there of like the education system. That what I notice is most folks that do end up transferring and going to 4 years, at some points in our lives, we were told we were at least decent in education. So that's why we're willing to give it a try, right? If not told we were good at some point. And yeah, that school is not for everybody. And I don't want to make it seem like this is our only way out, because it shouldn't be our only way out, because most folks that come home will not go back to school. And that's our reality. And we shouldn't just be put it all into this. But for those that do, like, I'm also grateful that this is an opportunity, and we do have those communities within, you know, the UCs with USI, the underground scholars, and Project Rebound and the CSU system, right? So for those that do, cool, but those that don't, that's understandable. You know what I'm saying? The way our fucked up educational system is, and that, you know what I'm saying, this shouldn't be a be all end all, like me all end all thing, right? School is the only way I can make it out, because that that's a kind of fucked up message to the rest of our community that actually don't want to do school. But that's why I go, my bad, I didn't answer the question. So that's why I'm in my job, right? So that's why I'm in school. I'm trying to, I'm in high school right now with young boys of color, but my thing is more of I was an ethnic studies major, so everything for me is, you know, um intersectionality. So I teach these young men of their young brown boys. So I work for the Latino Men and Boys program. So I have a class where I teach culturally relevant curriculum, where I teach them about anti-blackness, where I teach them about machismo and patriarchy, which is mostly likely the first time they get a take on this. And the way I do it is, you know, I show a lot of black films, black led films, and then they see similarities in there where they're like, oh shit, like, yo, we're the same. And I'm like, yes, you are. So, you know what I'm saying? And also, our families, especially in the brown community, have hella anti-blackness, you know what I'm saying? So we start, you know what I'm saying, they share that, you know, I share that my grandma was racist and my family still is racist and say anti-black shit all the time. You know, they're like, yo, you're in Oakland, like, yeah, that's just hella dangerous. I'm like, I have a better possibility of getting killed in San Jose. Nobody knows me over here in Oakland. Like, I'm hella safe here compared to the shit I was doing over there, you know what I'm saying? But only because of they relate blackness to Oakland. That's the only reason, right? So having those conversations with my youth and having them understand that how we navigate the world, you know what I'm saying, and how we view other folks, like they understand racism is bad, but they don't understand how they enact in anti-black ways, right? Or patriarchal ways. So that's, you know, that's what I do for them. Like I try to teach them that how we can engage differently in the world and how, you know what I'm saying, we can engage in the world where we can acknowledge also our wrongs when we are acting in these racist or anti-black ways, or, you know what I'm saying, being sexist or homophobic. So, you know, little seeds, that's what I'm doing, planting little seeds so the world could be a better place.
Yes, I can go real quick. I don't think well, when I first started community college, it was more so like it was like the better choice for me to make, because I was on parole too, right, when I got out, and they was like, hey, you either fucking gotta get a job or fucking go to school. And you know, I couldn't even get a job nowhere for real. So I went to school, and then, you know, I heard about the financial aid, so I was like, hey, cool, I could get that, do what I do with that, you know, put that in my pocket. But I feel like I actually got empowered to take school serious when I started community organizing in Richmond, California. And you know, I always tell people, like, I don't even know like how I fucking even got that job. Like the description was like you had to be formerly incarcerated to get the job, right? So they were actually intentionally looking for people who were system impacted to do organizing around reentry issues, right? But at the time, like, I'm not seeing that, I'm not knowing what the hell that is. So I just wanted to get my little $20 an hour part-time job. And I think it was through that job where I really met like people who were like bona fide, like been organizers for years and were also formerly incarcerated. And then I had met this old dude who had like connections at Berkeley. He was like a former professor or something. And he told me like, hey, he was like, you should apply to Berkeley. And then, you know, I kind of like marinated on that a little bit. And, you know, I had talked to some people at my community college about it. And then he actually connected me with, damn, what's that dude name? He connected me with this guy on campus who worked for, it was called the Academic Achievement Program. His name was Dr. Campbell, and he ran like some program here at Berkeley. So I went to go connect with him, and he was like, you know, you want to get over here, like you got to get your grades up. Like he kind of mentored me and coached me through it. And then when I left out of that meeting with him, he was an OG too. Like I really kind of had the confidence, like, all right, this is the next move right here, right? Because I was about to drop out of community college. Like it was a job I applied for. It was like, I think it was like landscaping. It was like $3,000 a month. I was like, man, fuck school. I'm about to get paid. I'm trying to get this job, get some money in my pocket, because that's what that was the most urgent need I had. Right. But it was the people around me, like the support network that I created and developed, and people like encouraging me, like, man, you are smart. And you telling your story is powerful, and you doing it to create policy change. So that just, in turn boosted my self-esteem. So with that, when that happened, like I started to do better academically. And then it was just from then on, it was just like just meeting people along the way. Right. And then how I got to public policy was we had worked on when I was organizing, we had worked on a ban the box campaign out in Richmond, California. And, that was just like a policy change in itself, because it was like, that was the shit I was facing when I came out of prison. I couldn't get a fucking job nowhere. And it was because of the question, have you ever been convicted of a felony? Right. So I got a chance to actually kind of, help remove that question from applications. And then that kind of, made me feel like, hey, I can do something around here. So that was how I got into policy. I'll stop there.
Yeah, so for what encouraged me or was my motivation, I initially wanted to be a nurse, but as soon as I found out, of course, it'd be pointless because of my past. I just went straight for business administration. I've always had like business attitude, money first type of thing from my husband days and stuff, but I always wanted, like, the little jokey, I don't know if anybody's heard it, but I've read this little joke where it's like, I'm not a boss, I just know what you should be doing. That was my attitude. That was my attitude for everything. Like, I know what I'm going to be doing. I've always had the mentality of like, I'm not going to be told what to do or what I need to do or what I am or who I'm supposed to be. I just know that it needed to be different, and then it needed to be me. Because I do believe that I'm, unique. I'm not only unique looking, and I'm not saying that in a like conceited way at all, just because of what I know I've been through since birth. So I went to school. Like I said, school was my outlet. School was everything. If you wanted to be somebody, you had to go to school. I did have cousins that were, getting their masters and their PhD and doctorates and stuff. And I was like so proud of them. Like, yeah, like if they could do it, like I could do it for sure, because they're not about to be the only cousins, from our generation that, went to school and did something with their life, because we were looked at, my mom having 6 kids, we was looked at, like ghetto, like gonna be nothing and nobody because of the life that we lived and the stuff that we've been through. And then to go on and, go through the things that we put ourselves through. But yeah, change for sure. Like how they say in Spanish, a huevo. Change was inevitable. And my inspiration, my motivation, is definitely my kids. Definitely for my kids, regardless of everything that happened and has happened and that I'm still experiencing and living through. I don't give up. I have a plan and I'm sticking to it. And that's just pretty much like how I see things, what's another motivation and self-motivation and inspiration of my own is just like stick to the plan, like this and that can come, but just it's almost like just if you see a light, things could be thrown at you, but as long as you see that light, just kind of keep it pushing and keep going forward. Because eventually, you meet people like you guys that, also have a voice and are doing something about it. And that's my kind of people. So that's also a motivation. Thank you.
Yeah, I'll weigh in quickly. Someone getting a PhD, I'm going to become an academic, right? I don't think I really understood that when I started. When I pulled up, I thought, I think like a lot of people, I'm going to get this education and I'm going to go back and help my people, right? And I thought the university is the place that can deliver on that. And in some ways it can, right? But I think it has to come from larger organizing, right? The university cannot be the only place where that kind of fundamental change happens, right? And it's certainly not going to come just from me, right? So it's going to take organizing, right? And I think part of that organizing is holding the university itself accountable, right? Like it's an employer, it's a gentrifier, it's a developer, it's implicated in a lot of the problems embedded within the relationships of racial capitalism that put us in this place in the first place, right? And so like, I don't think I knew that when I came in. And so like, my inspiration is always going to be to help people, right? But I realized like, they may not need me, I need them, right? And like, there's a reciprocal relationship that has to go on that's beyond sort of the bounds of just my study. And I think that's sort of the humbling part of this process, is realizing like, it's going to take organizing in the community. Most people, as Richard said, that are most directly affected are not here. And so by proximity to that, like this is not the place where it can actually happen, right? And I mean that in all seriousness. But I do think, right, there's a lot of hope here, right? And I think us subversives tend to find each other in the university, and out of that kind of consciousness building, organizing can happen that links to broader organizations. And so that's part of my inspiration. I'm also just a fucking nerd. I love theory, I'm doing it at a high level, critical theory at Berkeley, reading all the dead white guys. I love that stuff. I love to teach, so that's part of my inspiration. I love to each one teach one, like the Panthers would say. I believe in sort of community-based learning. So yeah, I appreciate it.
Thank you, everyone.
We've been getting a steady, stream of questions, but one of the ones that came in is, what are some of the barriers that exist in higher ed for formerly incarcerated students, and what do you guys offer as some solutions that have worked out through your community organizing, through Underground Scholars, or just based on your experiences?
I mean, I wouldn't mind saying one, like, expungement, right? Again, I'm a 2-time felon, and I've been able to expunge one, thank Lord. But I did it through a nonprofit. Luckily, again, I'm a survivor of domestic violence, so I was able to expunge it through a program that I was part of, 1736. But currently, like, we've been able to find things on social media that do expungement, whether it's with the county or whether it's nonprofit programs. But that was a hurdle for me, and getting a job, right? I mean, I was able to be a student worker, but thankfully, if I wanted to pursue volunteering at certain shelters, they wouldn't accept me because of my background. So to me, it's really important to offer that opportunity to students, because let's say you want to volunteer just for the certain career that you're obtaining, right? Like, I want to work with DV and formerly incarcerated, so I couldn't work with a certain population because of my background. It was violent, right? So I had to work on expungement. So that's something that we offer.
I did an expungement program also too. That was like someone I thought was it was a barrier for me. But come to find out, it wasn't actually. If because I want to get a license when I graduate, I want to be a licensed social worker. But about the expungement process, I did come to find out if you have a job, what they didn't tell me is that if you have a job, you have to pay for your expungement. If you don't, as long as you're a student and you're unemployed, that is free. And so I almost had to pay for my expungement, but I pretend that I didn't have a job, so I can, so they wouldn't charge me. And I think one of the barriers also for me when I went to school was community, because community is big I don't know for everybody else, but it was big for me, and, and helping me stay in school, because I, like I needed that social support. And if I didn't have that social support, I feel like dropping out, and I need a community that I can relate to, that was relatable. Because when I first got to Berkeley, it was like a bunch of kids, 18, 19, 20, because I look young, they thought, they were like, hey, let's go out. And, there's a lot of, they tried to build community with me, but I wasn't really feeling that. And then when they find out your past, they get a little like patronizing, and stuff. And I don't know, but one of the things was like community for me is a barrier. But, once I found my community, like with the underground scholars and like the student parenting, like David did, it really helped my transition a little bit better. But if I probably wouldn't have found that community, I probably wouldn't have felt accepted. I probably would have left probably, because in the past, my history is I went to Hill, Western Career College, I'm like all those short-term colleges before I even got to this level. So I have all type of student loans, and that's going to be a barrier too, I feel.
No worries. David, we got a question for you. Currently, are you in your dissertation phase? And if so, have faculty been more accepting or reserved to wanting to work with you?
Berkeley is pretty ripped. You hardly get any advising. It's the kind of place that, again, I study the university. It's the object of my study. So I hope I'm not saying things that are like, but I think it's the kind of place that hires people based on like how many times are you cited, rather than are you advising graduate students well. So the advising I've had has been non-existent or horrible. I had my first advisor actually isn't there anymore, so I'm maybe not the right person. But I think that it's a place that is embedded in relations of like progressive capitalism, meaning like it celebrates itself by sort of like tokenizing, right? Rather than like, I've never been discriminated against. They wouldn't dream of doing something like that, right? But I think they will be quick to like pay you poverty wages and like celebrate themselves that like we have a formerly incarcerated scholar here that's also very critical of this place. You can come and study with him as long as you pay your tuition, right? So it's like a deeper cycle of these, right? I think one of the things I always say, I don't think there's any anti-racism that is not also a critique of capitalism. And I will die saying that, right? And like, I just, the more we say that, like, I think we need to really think about what that means. Cause like modes of like liberal anti-racism are like not going to do anything for us. You know what I mean?
This one is addressed to, I'm sorry, Shalita. What additional resources are needed to get access and success for not only someone who's been system impacted, but maybe single parents? I know that that was talked about. So being, having a lot of intersecting identities.
So you're saying resources?
Yeah. What resources are needed to get access for success for not only someone who may be formerly incarcerated, but someone with like being a single parent and all that good stuff, like having multiple. Yeah.
Sometimes it depends on the school you go to. So Berkeley is one of those schools that really supports student parents, and there was someone that like really advocated for student parents to get extra money. So like Berkeley are big, like they have a resource where they give like a student parent an extra like $800 to $1,000 a month for being a parent, just free money. But not all schools have that. And there are scholarships out there. Like if you're like survivors of domestic violence, like I applied for different scholarships that helped me get through school. Also just different networks and being different part of different organizations. But research opportunities too, like, I was a part of the Fireball Scholars, which is a subgroup of the McNairs, if everybody heard of McNairs. So I did a lot of scholarship opportunities to get money. And I did a lot of networking too. A lot of networking at my community college that helped me at the next level too.
Esperanza, I know that you could also kind of fall into this. Do you have any resources or anything you can think of?
For me, CARE has been a tremendous resource. I, like Shalita, prior to coming to community college, I did medical assisting and medical billing. And then, so coming to community college, I have loans in default because I just, being transparent here, I just wasn't able to make those payments anyhow. CARE has been a real big support as a parent coming back to school. And also FIRST has also been very helpful at helping me pay for books and whatnot.
I have a comment.
I put it in there. Seroptimus is an organization too that offers scholarships for women and survivors.
Ricky, if I may say a comment, it sounds like, our students have to do the digging and finding these resources. So, right. So if there's any teaching faculty here, it would be great just to share out about FIRST, EOPNS, and CARE, because sometimes our students aren't aware or kind of, skip the emails, or they have a lot going on. So I think, our faculty members, because you all see them, twice a week, 3 times a week for 3 hours, maybe in your Canvas shell, y'all can promote the services that can help students thrive, right? If our basic needs are not met, how are we thriving in academia, right? So I feel that, if we're able to provide that extra grant, warrior closet, that extra food, that's going to be huge. And not only for the student, but we're going to be able to build that rapport with our student, and they're going to be able to feel that they belong and that they have a place here at El Camino. So I guess that's just an encouraging word for faculty, because I know some of us may be here. That's a tangible way that we can reach out to our students. So the charge is there.
Absolutely. This is a good question that just came in. How important is it to have a space on campus? And can you talk about the experiences you've had in having a space that you believe have helped elevate you, or have been positive experiences?
Honestly, for me,
Go ahead. Go ahead, Jasmine.
oh yeah, I was gonna say, yeah, just for me, the group that, where I finally feel very comfortable and encouraged and motivated to succeed is the FIRST program. It encompasses everything. I mean, from support, you know, from education to moral to everything. Any kind of resources you need, I mean, we got you. Like Ricky is so good about, being that ear and, always checking up on us and always checking up on everyone, making sure everybody's good. And if we do lack or need something or any kind of support in any way, he'll dig and he will find it and he will shoot it to you, So it's like, for me, that's been the biggest, most comforting, uh, and it kind of opened my mind up to being open to other other programs and support, and just kind of being a little bit more open with people too, So I just wanted to share that.
I guess what I wanted to share is that I think physical space is absolutely like mandatorily needed, because say for my college experience, my community college experience, I was involved in the Enlace program, which is I was in their what is it called when you have high grades? Honors and Enlace program or community college. And but all I did was I went to class, went home, went to class, go home. That's all I did, right? I didn't stay anywhere or even between classes, because I didn't feel like I had a space for me. So yes, they had the brown community, but I went one time, I was like, nah. As soon as I openly said I was locked up, like I feel like they were like, oh, and then when somebody asked me what, I was like, a violent crime. They're like, oh, the full criminal, he's gonna, what I'm saying, he a gang member, so I'm cool. So, but when I went to Berkeley, it was really different to have actual physical space, because when you have physical space, I felt more welcome. So in between classes or even after class, I would stay there for hours, right? And if it's not for, sometimes it was for studying, most of the time it wasn't. It was like chilling, building community, which is still fine, right? We need this. But with chilling and building community, man, I was more involved on campus, like in, what I'm saying, get involved in protests, being involved in different things that, what I'm saying, help me get to where I'm at today, what I'm saying, to actually learn and unlearn things that I myself was being problematic, what I'm saying, with. and also unlearn some behaviors that were not okay through mistakes that I did on college campuses as well. So, but having the physical space there gave me, allowed me to be able to chill there and actually feel welcome and actually be involved in more things that I wouldn't have, that I didn't in community college, because I was just in, out, go home. But now I felt like I had a part of my house on campus, right? So that physical space, I think it's needed for everybody. And every group should have, some physical space on campus where they could just go chill, study, or just be themselves. And that way they don't have to leave, because that's where a lot of community building happens, right? Because I'm not going to go to Clarence's house or David's house or Charlita's house like we've seen each other on campus on a regular basis in our communal space.
Awesome. I know that we have a couple of more questions coming in, but I also want to be respectful of everyone's time. Please know that we are incredibly grateful for David, Shalita, Clarence, Richard, Jasmine, Isabel, and Esperanza for coming through tonight and, giving their time, their narrative, their experiences, and their truths to be spoken. We are proud to say that the FITE documentary will be posted on our FIRST website, and it will be accessible for anyone else to want to view it once again. In addition to that, we recorded this Q&A session that will also be available on our website a little bit later on tonight or tomorrow morning, so that can also be experienced once again. I will be talking to the FITE team to see if they are willing and able to share their contact information. If you guys have, want to follow up with any questions or just want to connect with them. I know Skylar Economy, the producer of the film, we will be putting a link to her website and to future works that she's bringing on. She does want to do a sequel to From Incarceration to Education, and that's a passion project of hers that she's maybe working on. So she really wanted us to showcase her website. And please know that she is always open to participating in other panels. So if you guys work in any other organizations that may want a screening or that may want another Q&A, this is definitely something that we are proud to share with you all. I want to thank everyone again for coming out tonight. We at FIRST are incredibly grateful to the FITE team. Please know that FIRST is here on our campus to be able to assist students who are formerly incarcerated and system impacted. We have our amazing peer mentors in Jasmine and in Esperanza, who are willing to meet with students on a one-on-one and, really kind of mentor them, kind of give them the ins and outs because they themselves were students. We have Isabel Gonzalez, who is our success coach. She is phenomenal, not only in helping our students achieve the success that we know they can, but she is also an invaluable resource when it comes to hustling and trying to get, not only El Camino resources, but community resources as well. Vilma, our counselor, is always available to our FIRST students, and she's more than open to giving them the time to not only go through educational planning, to go through advising, and to help them with anything that they need. And I myself am always available for our FIRST students, whether they they need a referral, they just want to get to know about the program. I have an open door policy, and I'm we're willing to present in your classes if that's something that you guys want us to do. Please feel free to reach out. Vilma, do you want to go ahead and share our contact information real quick? We can be found on our FIRST website, and we'll click that link for that as well. Sorry about that, guys. And finally, I will be sharing a link for anyone that participated in tonight's viewing. We wanted to do an exit survey. So please let us know how you liked the film experience, how you like the Q&A panel. We really do appreciate all your feedback on this event. This really lets us know how we can continue to foster relationships with FITE and with a lot of our other campus and community partners, and allows us to also be able to kind of open doors for more of these events to occur. So we highly encourage all of you guys to please fill out the survey. And I wanted to kind of give the space to the FITE team and the FIRST team for any closing remarks.
I just want to say thanks to everybody. It's an inspiration seeing you guys. I believe in community, and we can't do any of this without each other, right? And I want to shout out Rodrigo Vasquez down there, Froggy, one of the USI alum. Haven't seen you in a while, man. It's good to see you. Yes, sir. And yeah, thank you guys.
Yeah, I'll say too, thank you for having us. This actually, it felt great to do this because I feel like in my work, I feel like I can be disconnected from people at times because, you know, so centered around policy and stuff like that. So anytime I get to do this, it feels great because it took me to hear from people who went down that road to know that, you know, like it's possible. And I feel bad because, you know, all y'all doing all this stuff on Zoom now, so I can't even imagine. So kudos to y'all for like y'all are here too. So yeah, that shows some dedication. But yeah, thanks for having us. And I'll drop my email in the chat. So, you know, when folks want to reach out, happy to do that.
Yes, thank you all. Thank you all for having us, and thank you all for being here and just, you know, supporting us and informing in our, you know, population, everyone else. I really appreciate it. And thank you. Thank you so much. I get a little shy on videos too.
I just want to shout out El Camino. Every time we have an event, people come through, and it's just, it's so inspiring to see like-minded folks who care about our students, who care about students who are formerly incarcerated. So this is an inspiration that we're doing the good work, and we're going to continue to do it with or without support. So shout out to Elko for showing up and showing our students and showing us as program coordinators and counselors that we're supported and that this work is going to continue.
I would also like to thank everybody for coming. I want to give a special shout out to Dr. Thing and Dr. Lemons. They also were an encouragement, supported me through my education journey and actually encouraged me a lot. And I just thank everybody for being here, and yay, El Camino.
Yeah, off that note, thank you guys for really being here. I really do appreciate it. Like without Karen, without FIRST now, like I don't think I would be where I'm at today. I really wouldn't, like if I didn't have the support system at home. You know, my dad was always incarcerated, my mom wasn't there. So this school system became my support system. And without people like Ricky, Velma, Brianna Bond, like I wouldn't be where I'm at today. They supported me, they acknowledged me, and they showed me that I'm able to do it. So programs like this actually give students a voice, and they really find out who they are and where they're supposed to be. So thank you guys.
Yeah, I just want to say thank you again too. Very, very, very grateful for this. Very grateful for all of you guys. Clearly, we're not alone. Clearly, we are not alone, and it can be done. And together we can. Shout out to El Camino and everybody involved. Thank you so much. Thank you for your time.
We thank you all. We honor you. We really do appreciate everything that you guys have shared with us tonight. And the last thing I want to leave with everyone is we will be having our next FIRST event, which will be our Breaking Bars Community Network Ally Training on March 26th. We actually got it a week early. It's going to be from 12 p.m. to 3 p.m. So in the recap email, I will be sending out the invitation not only for you guys to participate in the survey, but I will also be sending out some of the preliminary information for that ally training. So a lot of the faces that we saw here today, we hope to see you on March 26th for our next event.
Okay.
We immensely appreciate it. And thank you so much for participating here tonight, guys. Have a good night.
All right, everybody.
Y'all. Yep.